Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan video. In this video, one of my final videos talking about this upcoming year, I wanted to talk about which categories and teams I believe need the biggest buffs for 2025. Now I'm going to focus on singular teams, but that doesn't mean that these units don't buff other categories as well that I'm aiming to target. But to keep it simple, I want to keep it to 5, and I want to talk about it ultimately a lot as well. So we'll talk a little bit about the category itself, where it's at, and then also what it needs. Starting with the Android Cell Saga. So Saiyan Saga, Shadow Dragon Saga, these sagas are dead. They will always struggle to be relevant because you have a lot of units, yes, but you have a lot of units with the same name. Cell Saga can thrive because you have units with multiple forms. Piccolo fused with Kami, Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan 2, Super Vegetas. You have obviously the future Gohans, you have the Super Saiyan 2 Gohans, and you have the cells, first, second, and final, and obviously perfect final cell. So there is a lot of transformations, and although we got Vegeta last year, I think Cell Saga is primed for a bit of a comeback. I think we need a new Cell unit. I think we need a new Android 16 unit. I think we need a new Super Saiyan Gohan unit, whether that's a Super Saiyan 2 transforming or whatever it is. I think we need those units all come to the fore. I think we need some sub-EZAs for the Android 16-18 unit, Android 19-20 unit, and an EZA for the Android 18 and 17 unit. And I think there's a lot that can still happen in this category. So I'm very, very excited for it. But I think it needs quite a bit of love, but it will be a top team when it does get there. Next, I want to obviously now talk a little bit about the Wicked Bloodlines team. So Wicked Bloodlines, obviously last year, didn't get too much. We did get a Super EZA for physical Final Form Frieza, and we did get a First Form Frieza that was very good, but the team doesn't have enough. The team does not have enough. Starting with two big boy EZAs. We need the full power Frieza EZA. We need the strength Cooler EZA. I'm hoping both of those units get it and really do kind of improve. I think for me, we can still get a lot of Wicked Bloodlines units. I think we can get a King Cole General Banner unit, very similar to the King Vegeta unit. I think we can get chilled units. I think we can get a new transforming First Form Frieza, an updated one to the Tech one. I think we could get a second Form Frieza, a Summonable General Banner one. There's a lot of units we can still get. And honestly, it's really, really good. So I really think with these changes, Wicked Bloodlines would be in prime position. But what Wicked Bloodlines needs the most is a tank. Because both Frieza and Cooler are excellent damage dealers. That will be excellent after an EZA, but we really need a tank for this category. So that's Wicked Bloodlines, which will strengthen a lot of other categories as well. So I think overall that's one of the categories I'm really looking forward to, hopefully getting some really cool heat units. I think it's going to be absolutely awesome. Now the next category is there's a lot of categories that need buffs, so I don't want people to misunderstand me when I say these are the top 5. I think it all depends a lot on your own internal bias as well. Are you someone who really likes a certain category? If that category is not one of the top in the game, you're probably going to want it to get a buff. But for me, Giant Ape Power needs a buff. It's long been carried by the Dragon Ball Heroes units, and I think it's now time for it to receive an appropriate level of buff. I think it'll be a good start to give the both SS4 Gogetas an EZA, the transforming one, and of course the int one. That's a very good starting position, but I think there's a lot of work that can be done here. Giant Ape Vegeta could get an EZA. I think we'd need a new Giant Ape Vegeta, a proper Giant Ape Vegeta. Make him start as a Giant Ape or something, even if it's not a Giant Ape form. I don't know, just make it that way. An EZA for the GT Heroes units, the Int Vegeta or the Physical Goku would be really awesome. And this would all boost GT Heroes, so it's kind of like a latch-on effect for that. I also think it's time that we finally got the Bardock EZAs. I know they've been holding back on these for a very long time, but a whole batch of sub-Bardock EZAs would be really tremendous. Plus, there is potential, I think, for a Gohan Ape unit. I still think they haven't maximized that moment in the show. Whether it's another Piccolo Gohan duo card, where the active skill is Piccolo blowing up the moon to turn into an ape for 3 turns or something. But I think it would be really, something quite cool, and that would be really, really good. And so for me, Giant Ape Power definitely needs to love. It's a huge category, and Giant Apes, Saiyan Apes, are such an important character trait of the series. The tail, the moon, the transformations. I know it disappeared for a while, but it's something that's prevalent in Saiyan lore. It's a big part of people's attraction to Dragon Ball Z's, buff monkey men. So I think you have to kind of have that category be really strong. The next category I really kind of debated, because there's things like Sworn Enemies, which needs buffs, but like I said when I was talking about Wicked Bloodlines, this category will get a whole bunch of buffs. And it's also a category that just, I think, doesn't exist very well. What I mean by that is pretty simple. Some categories, I believe, were just made without really consideration to the fact that they're just never really going to work. Sworn Enemies is one of those. Unless you flood it with like 2 or 3 Premier Line supports, you're just always going to end up with weird wonky builds. The Boo units don't link with Cells, Cells don't link with Boos, neither of them link with Frieza. So at the end of the day, it's just not really a category that works. There's the odd situation like with Angel Frieza linking with Angel Cell, or like Demon King Piccolo linking OK with like 1 or 2 Friezas, but it's just not a category that makes sense to me. So it'll get buffed through Wicked Bloodlines, but I'd rather focus on something like Universe 6. Universe 6 has got a bunch of EZAs recently, but I think there's potential for some really premier units from Universe 6. I think we could get a new hit unit. In fact, I'd like a new hit unit, a proper hit unit, a proper DFE hit. I think we could do with an LR Kefla. An LR Super Saiyan 2 Kefla standalone would be really, really good. She could have some amazing animations as well. We could EZA the Tech Kale and Caulifla unit. We could EZA the Frost unit, the Frost and Frieza unit. I think there's potential there. And in general, I think Universe 6, because you always kind of have to buff Universal Survival Saga. Universe 6 is probably the best bet at that, seeing as it received its EZAs recently, but not too crazy. And I think with 1 or 2 new units, the category could be really, really functional. I think it could be really good still. So it doesn't need too much compared to others, but it's one I'd like to see on a personal level. So it's maybe not the weakest category, but it's one I'd really like to see overall, whereas the others I think desperately need the buffs. Otherwise, they're just not going to function at the required level. And for the final one, it's very difficult to choose again. There's things like Connected Hope, just a category I don't think works. Time Limit, just also pretty strange category that I don't think has that much of a purpose. I could say buff these, but in reality, I just don't think the categories work. So I'm not too keen on talking about what it needs, because I think a lot of them will need supports, functionality units, utility units, new leads. A lot of these categories only have 1 or 2 leads. A lot of them need new leads. So there's a ton of category lists that you could go through and say, wow, these units really need a new improvement. For me, Defenders of Justice is one that I think could be fun. Gotenks is kind of one of those units. Dragon Ball Heroes also appears here quite easily. For me, what I'd be looking for is Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. I think we could do with EZA to those 2 units. I think they're very good, and they were helped out a lot by the Int Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, but I think it would be a lot of fun to see their EZAs. A new Jocko Patrolman could also be very, very good in the support capability and function. A Great Saiyaman, I'd love to see a premium Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 card, or just even a Great Saiyaman 1, or even a Videl Great Saiyaman 2. Like, I'd love to see General Banner units or proper LR units with amazing animations from all the movies. I think it would be cool. I think it would be a really, really cool moment. So, but that's it from me. See you guys next time. Bye.